Hello students, welcome to this video on 8.6, Solve a Triangle. You actually already have all of the tools, knowledge, and information that you need in order to be able to do this part of the section, but now we're kind of going to take everything that you've learned about sine, cosine, and tangent, and we're kind of going to put it all together in solving a triangle. Solving a triangle means that you're not trying to find just one piece of information. It's not just like you're solving for x, but you're actually trying to find every single missing piece of information in the triangle. So if they give you a picture of a triangle and it's labeled with three things, maybe the three different side lengths are labeled, solving a triangle means you're not just trying to find one of the angle measures, you're actually trying to find all three of the angle measures. Or if they only start by giving you two sides and one angle, you have to find the third side and the other two angles. So there are three total sides and three total angles in a triangle. After you solve a triangle, you will know what all three sides equal, and you will know what all three angles equal. In order to find that information, you can use a couple of different things. If you have a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean theorem, or you can use the sine, cosine, and tangent ratios of SOHCAHTOA, but those are only for right triangles. And the examples that we do today, they're not going to be right triangles, so we're not going to be able to use those two things. What we are going to be able to use today are the law of sines, the law of cosines, and we're also going to be able to use the fact that the three angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So those three things right there, the law of sines, the law of cosines, and the fact that all the angles add up to 180, we're going to use those three things today in order to solve a triangle. Now guys, before we get started, let's talk about the importance of rounding. Now, for this whole school year, Miss Mercer has been really chill about rounding. I literally have not cared if your answer has said 8.6 or 8.7, it doesn't even matter. However, for this lesson, rounding is really important. Guess what happened, guys? I finished this lesson and I went to the book to double check, make sure everything was correct. Because I rounded just a little bit differently than the book, my answers were completely different. I mean, if you type in the inverse cosine of 0.5 in your calculator, you get 60 degrees. But if you type in the inverse cosine of 0.46, you get 62.6 degrees. That's very different. That's like a whole different number. So for this section, we're going to have to be really careful about how we round, and we have to read the directions, and we have to round the same way that the book is going to round, and on IXL, we have to round the same way that IXL is going to round, because if we round a different way, then our answers are going to be completely different. So I'm redoing this entire video right now. I finished it, and now I deleted the whole thing, and I'm recording it again for you, because I rounded a different way than the book. So now we're going to do this video again, and we're going to round the same way as the book. So this is how the book has decided to round. They have decided that they would like for angle measures to be a whole number. So you can have 38 degrees, but you cannot have 37.5 degrees. That's just how they decided to round. So all angle measures are to be a whole number, and all side lengths you can have 1 decimal point. So you can have like 32.7 for the side length. You can round it to the nearest tenth. So that's how the textbook is going to do it, and that's how we're going to do it in this video. All right, so let's get started. We are trying to solve this triangle. We want to figure out the three missing angle measures because we are given the three side lengths, and we can either choose the law of sines or the law of cosines to get started. One of those will work, one of those will not work. Which one should we choose? For this triangle, we have to use the law of cosines. In order to use the law of sines, you have to have an angle and a side that are across from each other. And we don't have that. In fact, we don't have any angle measures. So we have to use the law of cosines. when we use the law of cosines, because we have all three side lengths, it does not actually matter how we kind of put the three sides into the formula. We have a lot of flexibility with that. I'm going to start it off by saying 15 squared is equal to 12 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 12 times 13 times the cosine of angle A. Now, if you started it off by saying 12 squared is equal to, and then you did other stuff, that's actually okay for this problem. It doesn't actually matter that the 15 is right here at the beginning. I just randomly chose it that way, but you could also do it a different way and still get the correct answer. So let's continue to solve. In this first part, we are trying to solve for the measure of angle A. So I'm going to start simplifying things here. 15 times 15 is 225. That's going to equal 144 plus 169 minus, let's do 2 times 12 times 13, which is 312, times the cosine of angle A. All right, now I'm going to combine the 144 plus the 169 together, and that's going to be 313. So 225 equals 313 minus 312 times the cosine of angle A. Now I'm going to subtract 313 on both sides. It's okay that I get a negative number. Negative 88 is equal to negative 312 times the cosine of A. Since it's being multiplied, I divide both sides by negative 312. So negative 88 divided by negative 312 gives me positive 0.282051281. So that's going to equal the cosine of A. Now to find out what A is equal to, I have to get rid of the cosine. The way to get rid of it is to inverse cosine. So I'm going to take the inverse cosine of 0.282, and I'm going to take the inverse cosine on the other side. Cosine, inverse cosine, they cancel each other out, and I get 73.6173 is equal to A. Now remember, we have to round this. This is an angle measure. The textbook says they would like for all angle measures to be whole numbers. So I'm going to round it to 74. If you do not round it, you will end up getting different answers when you use this number for other things. So it's going to be very important to round it properly here. So 74 degrees, that's going to be for the measure of angle A. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the triangle here. So A is 74. Now we have to find B and we have to find C. It doesn't matter where we start, we can do either of those next. And we can continue to use the law of cosines to solve for B or C. However, I'm going to switch over to law of sines. I think it's a little bit easier. So we're going to solve for the measure of angle B using the law of sines. I'm going to switch over to a new color here so that it's clear that now we're moving over to the next part of the triangle. To use the law of sines, I can set it up by saying that the sine of 74 over 15 is equal to the sine of angle B over 12. That's the law of sines. Now I can cross multiply here and cross multiply here. So 12 times the sine of 74 is equal to 15 times the sine of angle B. Then I can divide both sides by 15. And this part that I'm circling right now is what I type into my calculator. So I type in 12 times the sine of 74 divided by 15, and that is equal to 0.76900, etc. That's going to equal the sine of angle B. To find out what B is equal to, I take the inverse sine of both sides. So in my calculator, I'm going to do inverse sine of 0.769, and I get 50.265. That's equal to B. Now B is an angle measure. Remember, we're rounding these angle measures to whole numbers. So I'm going to say that B is equal to 50 degrees. So let me go ahead and write 50 next to the B in the triangle. All right, so now we have two angles in a triangle. Now it's really easy for us to find the third angle in the triangle. We can do 180 minus 74 plus 50. Let's see. That's going to equal 56. So the measure of angle C is going to be 56. So now we are done solving this triangle. We found the measure of angle A, we found the measure of angle B, we found the measure of angle C, and we already had the three side lengths. Once you have the three side lengths and the three angle measures, you are done and you have solved the triangle. So we did this one together. I have two problems for you guys to do on your own. Make sure that you guys are writing down these problems in your notes. This is the first one for you guys to try on. Again, make sure that you're writing this problem down in your notes. After you give it a try on your own, then you can come back to the video and you can check your answer. So go ahead and pause it, try it on your own, and then come back and check what you did. All right, if you just want to check your answer, you can kind of skip ahead a couple minutes in the video because we're actually going to walk through this problem all together step by step. So the first thing that I'm going to do in solving this problem is I'm going to label the triangle with the information they give us. So I'm going to put 10.2 here by the B and 9.3 for C, and the measure of angle A is 26 degrees. Now I can start by using either law of sines or cosines. I have to choose the right one to use. And in this triangle, the only one that I'm going to be able to use is the law of cosines. And I have to set it up a very specific way. There's only one correct way that I can start off this problem, and that is a squared equals 10.2 squared plus 9.3 squared minus 2 times 10.2 times 9.3 times the cosine of 26 degrees. The reason I have to start it off this exact way is because the 26 is across from the A, so therefore side A has to be first in my equation. It has to be a squared equals, and then everything else for the law of cosines. All right, so now we continue to solve this. A squared equals, and basically all of this I can put in my calculator. I'm going to put it in step by step though. So 10.2 squared plus 9.3 squared, that's going to equal 190.53 minus, now I'm going to put in the next part in my calculator, 2 times 10.2 times 9.3 times the cosine of 26, that's going to equal 170.52. Then I subtract 190.56 minus 170.52, and I get 20.04. So a squared is equal to 20.04. Now I take the square root of both sides. So a is equal to 4.47669. Now remember, we have to round it carefully. This is a side length, and the textbook says they would like for side lengths to be rounded to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to round this to 4.5. So we just found our first piece of information. We found that side A is 4.5. I can go ahead and write that over here by the triangle, 4.5. Okay, now we have two more things that we need to find. We have to find angle B and angle C. To do that, I have some options. I can either use the law of cosines again. However, law of sines is a little easier for me, so I'm going to go ahead and solve for angle B using the law of sines right now. This is how I would do that. I would say that the sine of 26 over the matching side, which is 4.5, is equal to the sine of angle B over 10.2. That's the law of sines. Then I'm going to cross multiply. So multiply those together, multiply these together. 10.2 times the sine of 26 is equal to 4.5 times the sine of angle B. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 4.5. And this that I'm circling on the screen right now, this is what I type in my calculator. 10.2 times the sine of 26 divided by 4.5. That's equal to 0.9936. So I'm going to take the inverse sine of that answer that I got, the 0.993641. So when I do, let's see, 0.993641. So when I do the inverse sine of that in my calculator, inverse sine, I get 83.535. Now remember, this is a angle measure, and the textbook says all angle measures should be to the nearest degree, to the nearest whole number. So this is going to be 84. So 84 is the measure of angle B. All right, now we found two things so far. We have one last thing to find. The last thing that we need to find is measure of angle C. This is the easiest thing for us to find because we already know two angles. So I'm going to do 180 minus 26 plus 84. And that's going to equal 70. So the measure of angle C is going to be 70. So those are the three answers for this problem here. All right, we've got one more problem for you guys to try on your own. The last problem is this one right here. Go ahead and pause the video, give it a try, and then when you've tried it, you can come back and watch the video. All right, so let's talk about the answers here. If you just want to skip ahead in the video to check your answers, you can. I'm going to go ahead and explain this whole problem right now, though. So to start with, I'm going to label the side lengths. They tell us that A is going to be 6.4, measure of angle B is 81 degrees, and the measure of angle C is 46 degrees. To start with, we actually do not have enough information to do the law of sines, and we do not have enough information to do the law of cosines either. So what should we do? To start with, we actually have to find the measure of angle A using the triangle angle sum theorem. So 180 degrees minus 46 plus 81, that's going to give us the measure of angle A. And that is 53 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my triangle. That A is going to be 53 degrees. All right, and now we only have two things left to find. We actually can use the law of sines here, which is a little bit easier sometimes. So we can use the law of sines here to find either side B or side C. I'm going to use it to find side B next. So to set up the law of sines, I'm going to say that the sine of 53 degrees over the matching side, which is 6.4, that's going to equal the sine of 81 degrees over side B. So right now we're going to solve for side B and figure out what B is equal to. To start us off, let's cross multiply. B times the sine of 53 is equal to 6.4 times the sine of 81. I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 53, and I get B equals, and then this part is what I'm putting in my calculator here. So 6.4 times the sine of 81 divided by the sine of 53. That's going to equal 7.915. Remember, for side lengths, they want you to round to the nearest tenth, so our answer will be 7.9. I'm going to add that over here to the triangle, 7.9. All right, and for the last side, for side C, we can actually use the law of sines again to solve for side C. So let's set it up. We can say the sine of 53 over 6.4 is equal to the sine of 46 over side C. We can cross multiply here and cross multiply here. C times the sine of 53 is equal to 6.4 times the sine of 46. Then we can divide both sides by the sine of 53. And in my calculator, I'm going to type in what I'm circling right now on the screen, which is the 6.4 times the sine of 46 divided by the sine of 53. And when I round my answer to the nearest tenth, it's going to be 5.8. So C is 5.8. So those are the three answers for this problem here. We had 53 degrees for A, we have 7.9 for B, and we have 5.8 for C. All right, that's it for the video today. Make sure to upload the notes that you took today into Canvas, and have a great rest of your day.